spending time with our little relative, I learned one thing about toddlers, and that is they have big emotions, whether it's joy or wonder, even frustration and anger. And today we're going to talk about diffusing big emotions.
Welcome to Collective Gifts. I'm Noella and this is Rachel.
Hello, everyone. Yeah, so today we're going to be talking about those big emotions because it's not only the little ones that experience it, but we too. The only difference is that they are learning how to manage it or self-regulate their emotions, whereas for us adults, we may have these big emotions, but by this point, we should be able to know how to self-regulate ourselves or to control those emotions. And so one of the things that I've learned with our little relative is if there is a moment where she's experiencing frustration or anger, it'll trigger her to kind of escalate into a big tantrum or have a meltdown. And so what we try to do is to redirect her focus on something. So we kind of use distraction to de-escalate. And that worked really well, right?
Really well.
and so she was receptive to that. But there are times where we couldn't distract her and she went into that whole meltdown mode, which at that point, instead of shaming her or telling her to stop it or, demean her in any way, we learned that, okay, we can acknowledge that emotion and meet her where she's at. So if she's there, ready to be like a bomb, ready to explode, well, we're not going to tell her to stop because it's unstoppable. What you can do is you can acknowledge, okay, what she's feeling and give her space. If she needs some hugs and some love, if she's receptive to that, to get that comfort, we let her know that we're there. Or if she was trying to explain something because her vocabulary is limited, we'd let her know, all right, you can use another word or show me or demonstrate what you're trying to say. And so then, that worked. And also just giving her that little space, that time to just kind of like have a time out from everything so that she can kind of get back to, balance, get back to normal. And then we can discuss it. And so for us, we're going to be spending time with our family, right? The holidays are coming up, and this is what the series is about, is to help us to be able to go through these little nuggets to help us to be better, right? So then we will be able to enjoy the holidays with our loved ones.
And so you don't want to focus on, the negative and just feed into and just have things like blow up and just have like, a meltdown or just like a fight or, just kind of like breaking the family apart, especially during the holidays. You want to enjoy your time together, appreciate your family because, you never know when you're going to see them next because sometimes, people may move away or sometimes people may depart this earth. And so we want to make the best of each moment that you have with your family. And so one of the things that we did with our little relative was to, when there was like, she was on the verge of just like a really big cry meltdown, I would just like, try to redirect her to like, oh, do you want to dance and all that? And then, she would think about it for a second and it would pause and they're like, yeah. And so that would, stop that, that big cry come out, that made her happier. And so, focusing on something that she liked to do. And so, I was able to stop that and prevent that from getting even worse. And just allow us to just have that time, to just be able to bond and to have fun doing something that she loves. And also, going back and just asking her, what do you need? What do you want? And to try and just to be able to understand what it is that she needed.
Mm-hmm. Which turns around the situation when you have choices. And that's the same thing for us, right? Once we have a trigger, right, we're going to escalate. And we can choose to have that meltdown, that tantrum, get angry and yell or whatever, right? Or we can choose to redirect ourselves to something else to de-escalate. We can choose maybe to even remove ourselves. So, do our own little personal timeout to cool down. And that's something when we were working with her, there'd be times where our buttons would get pushed and we were like, okay, we're going to have to time ourselves out or do something to just kind of de-escalate so we can get back on track. And that's actually what happened before we started filming, right?
I don't know what you're talking about.
There was a moment where both of us got triggered. When one person responds one way, then it can trigger the other person. And so we had to have our moment like, all right, we need to just like calm down. And then now we're ready. So now we can film. And so it's the same thing with you all. You may have those moments. And so we just want to encourage you, right? Instead of responding in the flesh, because we're told by the word, right, to be quick to listen, slow to speak, and slow to get angry. And I always like to add on slow to respond, right? Because then you're not going to respond in the flesh and out of emotion. And so when you remove yourself, that flesh, out of the equation, then we're not going to be causing, strife or division, or we're not going to be provoking other people. And so we just want to be mindful of our actions, because in the big scheme of things, what do we want? We want to enjoy our holidays, right? We want to enjoy living together with our family. And if we want to do that, there's going to be times where we're going to have to check ourselves and also put ourselves in that timeout, or find out, that way to de-escalate us. Oh, and one more thing too was, like, one of the things too is, she was receptive to us remaining calm. If I remain calm, that would continue to set the tone. And when I would try to, do some deep breathing with her to kind of, just let that negative emotions out and just to calm down, she was responsive to that. She would copy me. And so that's the thing is, for us, if you see other people that how they are not easily, agitated, you see how they are maintaining that self-control or that composure, there's things that you can learn from other people from observing. And also Holy Spirit will be able to give you, some tips as far as with what you need to do to handle that particular situation. And so we want to thank you for joining us today, and we hope that this encouraged you. And until next time, Shalom.